Hi, my name is Dave Fowler. My company is David's Kitchen Design. I am in Prescott, Arizona, and today we're going to be talking about guerrilla marketing. So I read a book years ago on guerrilla marketing, and what it has to do with basically, you to describe it in one word, it would be aggressively approaching your whole sales and marketing plan. Now, I want to talk about this and break it down in a sense into different areas. If we were to look at like my particular business and the target market for my business, number one, it's retail customers locally. So it's anybody that wants to remodel their kitchen. I do cabinets for that. I design the kitchen. I have installers and I have all the missing pieces that they can use to do that and to achieve that. So basically, if we look at that, my business is really in about four different places, and one of them is the local market. So I sell cabinets and I design kitchens for all of Arizona. I'll design it for anybody. A DIY, which is a do-it-yourself home builder or remodeler. I'll design for contractors. I'll design for new home builders. I'll design for the retail customer that just wants to remodel their home and put the pieces together for them with a contractor or an installer and such. So basically, what I do is I have a local market. So there's a different way I would market my business to the local market as opposed to nationwide. And I do nationwide kitchen design. I deal with box stores, franchises. I deal with cabinet companies, kitchen companies. So basically, with that, I do education. I do on-the-job training program for employees, training them in design and sales, and the program I draw in, which is 2020. Then what I do also is I do education because I have online classes that people buy from me on both kitchen design and sales. Once again, I've helped people start kitchen companies from scratch, design a showroom, and so on. So if I was to look at all those areas, I need to break down each field and say, who is my target market? Some businesses just have a very narrow target market. I am a believer in not putting all your eggs in one basket, and I'm also a believer in diversifying so that when one part of your business is down, the other is still going. For example, if I sell my classes every day, I make $250 on one, and I make $60 right now on the other, and I'm developing more classes. But basically, if I sell one of either of those a day, I'm having a pretty decent month. Now, I'm nowhere near that yet, but I'm getting there. I've sold about 328 classes at this point. Um, at this point in April, all over the world. So I'm international. I mean, I've sold them in Singapore and in Uzbekistan and Israel and Lebanon and all these places, along with Canada and South America. So I'm very thankful for that. It's money while you sleep. It's money on the side, you know. When your local business isn't doing that great, or you're in between sales and it's been a while, that still keeps going. So, my suggestion is whatever you do, take a look to educate. Maybe you could educate people besides. Maybe you could develop classes. Maybe you have classes now. But the key is to diversify as much as possible. Now let's take a look at how we're going to market this company, my company, for example. Excuse me there. Okay, we're going to look at how we would market my company, for example, locally, or what I do locally. So let's break that down. I'm gonna try to approach it in several areas. One of them is I'm on Facebook with both a business page and a personal page. I advertise usually from my personal page because I can do more with my personal page than with my business page on community pages. So what I do is I'm on every local page in Arizona, and I'm even on a lot of nationwide pages, but we'll go into that later. So basically, whatever your suburbs are in your area, I'm in Prescott, whatever the local towns are, whatever the suburbs are, you want to join those community pages. So I'm going to be on Buckeyes up in Phoenix. I'm going to be on North Phoenix page. I'm going to be on, there's just literally hundreds of community pages. Now, there's also like Contractors of Arizona. There's just a lot of different pages you can be on, and you can run your ads if you don't really run them as like a bold face sales ad. And I'll tell you how I do some of it. Okay, so I'll put on a community pages a page, or for example, like say just say Buckeye, right, in Arizona. It's a suburb of Arizona, Phoenix. I will run that I'm a kitchen designer for 15 years, and here's some of the kitchens I've done. Boom, 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 boom. And I'll put like 5 pictures of kitchens I've actually done. And then I'll get responses like, oh, those are amazing, And because my motto is I do amazing kitchens. I don't do just standard kitchens, whether it's a 1,500 square foot home or an 8,000 square foot home. I do amazing kitchens. I want people to be like, wow, and have that popping factor. So anyway, I'll run ads on these community pages, and then I get responses from them. So that's one way to advertise completely for free. A contractor told me about that years ago. Okay, so let's talk about um, you could be on LinkedIn, social media. LinkedIn, start a LinkedIn page, join their premium, start connecting with people. This is what I do. Let them, you know, let them know you for that type of thing. Um, and then let's talk about so there's LinkedIn, there's Facebook, there's Google ads, and there's Facebook ads. I don't pay much for ads. I'll pay like maybe like $3 a day at the most for an ad. That's $300 a month. Um, or actually, I'm sorry, that's $90 a month. That's all it is. So 3 times 30. Okay, so I'll pay for some ads here and there. I don't know how effective they are. I think that the community pages are probably more effective. But you know what? You got to have a shotgun approach. You got to have a bunch of things out there. You got to have a bunch of advertising going, and you may not. People will be like, "Where did I see that?" Because there's something to be said for name familiarity, and that is where people saw something. You ever been like, say you're gonna buy a Volkswagen Beetle or Bug, the little car, the round car when they were out. Say you're gonna buy one. Well, you didn't really think about them much before, but now that you're gonna buy one, you start seeing them everywhere. So it's that familiarity and that whole recognition, name recognition. So people are like, where did I see that a guy designs kitchens? I always see his ads. And if you search on Facebook under kitchen design, I come up. I think on Google I'm number 2 or something like that. Sometimes I'm number 1 in the town of Prescott. So anyway, what am I saying? You have to start taking an aggressive guerrilla marketing approach towards things. Let's move on to our next area. So let's talk about the local social area, not social media, but the local social area. You're in groups. You might be in a church group, synagogue. You might be in a um, business networking group. You might be in a well, you go out to eat with friends, right, or your family. So basically, when you're out to eat and you have a waiter or waitress or wait staff, period, come to your table. What you're gonna do is you're gonna, give them your card and say, "Hey, you know, I'm Susie. I do kitchens. I do hair. Whatever you do, you're giving your card out everywhere, literally. You should burn through cards like fast. Then what I do, because what I do is I make good money on kitchens. I can make anywhere from $2,000 to $15,000. So sometimes I say to people, look, on a $10,000 job, I can give you a referral or finder's fee of $500. And I say it with emphasis. I just like, yeah, I can give you $500. Excuse me here. So that being said, is for someone who is just, well, we're all just working, but someone who, maybe makes 15 bucks an hour or 10 or something like that. I mean, 15 is the minimum here. So to them, $500 is a lot of money. Okay. It's a lot of money to me. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a lot of money to a lot of people. But the point is that their ear perks up at saying this finder's fee, and I could sometimes do $500 on $10,000. Whatever it is for you, say, hey, I give a free Starbucks coffee for every referral, something like that. If you don't want to give money out, okay. So the key is getting into the habit of mentioning it on every person you see. Okay, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna network. There's BNI groups, but you gotta join. You gotta pay to join so much a year, but they bring referrals. They bring networking. Um, and then there's a lot of other social groups that meet at night, stuff like that. So, so there's that. Now, let's take a look at our second thing. So, when we go into a store, like we have Tractor Supply stores here, and I always went in there to buy. We have chickens, and we had chickens, I should say, when we had our property. And so I'd always buy like feed and all that stuff. In there, these type of stores, and even in cafes, little cafes and such, there's always like a card holder, or there's a bulletin board, a cork bulletin board that has cards on it. So you want to buy plenty of push pins. You want to bring your cards with you to every place. Maybe take a whole day and go locally in your town and put up your cards everywhere. Put three or four of them on the board. Reason why is because every effort we take is worth it if you need customers. If you need to make money and need customers to survive. Because it could be a year down the road, it could be 6 months down the road, it could be 5 years down the road if you've been in business that long, that someone could pick up your card and go, yeah, this guy does cabinets, so on and so forth. Okay, so we really want to market. It's about a shotgun approach, and it's about marketing everywhere. You know, how many cards can you give out in one day? You know, my name is Dave. This is what I do. Blah 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 blah. Right now, you may be an introverted person. You may not want to do that. You may, you know, but the key is it's about doing something every day to market your company, and not believing that business will just come to you, because it really kind of doesn't if it's a rough economy. It may in a great economy, but you got to gear up for it maybe not working as well eventually. And the level that you build your business up to, also can help you in turning away customers that you don't want. So, in other words, if you have, let's just say I have 20 cabinet jobs a month, which is really a lot. But let's just say I have that. And someone comes along that they look like they're going to be some trouble or a pain, then I don't have to deal with them. I can be like, yeah, I'm really busy. Thanks for coming by, but I'm not going to probably be able to do it for several months at least. So my point is that you want to, um, who doesn't want to like build their business up so that you're so busy and doing so well that you're just killing it? I mean, that's all of our goals, right? So we talked about social media, being consistent in placing ads, free community pages. We talked about being a walking, so to speak, marketing machine. When you go to a restaurant, talking to the wait staff. When you go to this place, talk to the little gal at the counter. She's a college student, something like that. You give her $500 on a decent sale, or you give her free Starbucks, whatever, for every referral. That's going to mean something to people. So then we talked about putting your ads or your cards up, I should say, with push pins on all the bulletin boards in town. Then we haven't talked at all about like door to door marketing. Um, I'm probably not as much of a fan of that for my business, but it doesn't mean it couldn't work. Except there's a lot of communities that won't allow it and things like that, at least here in Arizona. Or you take a group of people out and pay them so much and have them drop stuff off at doors or have them give them to people. Um, I just I just think that's become more and more difficult. So let's talk about other ways to market. There's radio ads. There's if you have a showroom and you want to have people come through it, you can do like a little seminar or an open house, give out things, and so on. I don't know that I have the energy for that because it takes a lot of advertising, takes a lot of getting the word out, and then maybe you'll have one or two people. But anyway, so the other thing that I do with Facebook, and I try to contact 10 people a day, because if you take that times 200, that's 2,000 people a year. And what I try to do is I try to both message them on Facebook, along with sending them a email about my services, along with calling them. It's a three-pronged approach. You could probably even add a fourth one on there, which is texting. And I forgot about that because a lot of people just read their texts. So there's that approach as well. So what I do is I copy a message, it says something like, my name is Dave Fowler. I own a kitchen company called David's Kitchen Design. We design kitchens nationwide. We teach 2020. We have an employee training program and so on. And then I just copy and paste that and send it to each person. So that's like some of the things that we can do. We're going to discuss other areas in a second class. Thank you for your time. Reach out to me if you need kitchen design, trying to learn 2020. I teach 2020. I also have classes on 2020. And like I said, I'm nationwide. I'm actually worldwide, really, international, so to speak. So I look forward to helping you out in any way I can. My phone number is 480-620-4284. Feel free to give me a call.